Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I do want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh Shemel Shabbat Shemakadash. They want to see apostles and those great millstone for teaching us true peace and blessings to the hope of Israel. Yahweh is the name of the frontline Tubu. Hashem is the name, Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Back on the lesson, and I see within the title, we're going to be going to ICE, pretty much not required, or not needing to have a warrant to enter your home. As you see right here in this brother's title, Arrows of Nation. Got this quick video, probably play a minute or two of it, and I got two quick articles to further go more in depth into the situation, and just further going to show the type of times that we're in. This devil's getting ready to crack down. As you especially get in Jeremiah 37, how we're in the time of Jacob's trouble, and we are in that time, and it's being made crystal clear. And just a week or two ago, you pretty much have been given the go ahead has been given to these ICE agents to pretty much go door to door. And now you see right here, they're not required to have a warrant, but you have people who are raising those questions after seeing these things, because dealing with the door to door stuff. They're saying, well, don't they need to have a warrant and all this type of stuff? And now they don't need it. So even with the police officers, they need to pretty much have the correct information and warrants to be able to do their pretty much duty. But ICE has been pretty much given the go ahead to do whatever they want, which has been said going back last year, where Trump told them they could pretty much do whatever they want. But gonna play this quick. Don't want to stall the intro. Do want to get these scriptures also and articles to further go into it, so Lord will be edifying. Let's dive right into it.
We've been warning you for months about ICE, but wait till you hear this. Back in May, the ICE attorneys started telling frontline officers that they don't need a judicial warrant to enter.
So you already know this is obviously going to cause so much friction, tensions. Now you're going to have these situations and literally escalate to its highest point. You're going to most definitely have people fighting back, not letting these agents obviously into their home, which is going to further escalate these situations where you're going to have the grip be tightened even more. This is why it's so important to seek the Lord, to be under the hedge and protection of Yahweh Shemshah. Look at the times we're in. This is the stuff you see playing out right now.
Someone's home to arrest them, despite the fact that the Fourth Amendment clearly requires a judicial warrant, a warrant signed by a neutral judge to say, yes, you have probable cause and you can go into that person's house to grab someone. They say that their BS administrative warrants allow them to bust into people's houses and to drag them out into the cold, like we just saw in Minnesota. I can't tell you how illegal this is. I can't tell you how contrary to the Constitution this is. You all need to wake up and pay attention to what they're doing, because if they can do this to immigrants, they can do it to any of us.
ICE agents are being instructed by a new policy to force their way into American homes, even without a judicial warrant. The next stage may have begun. This is going to be...
It's getting serious. It is getting serious. And these are the type of times, and things we have been warning of through the spirit power of Yahweh by Shemel Shah, starting with the apostles and elders down over that great millstone. But when we get into these scriptures, or actually articles I got, just go a little more into it. Probably just, get the information that I need and go on to the next one and get these scriptures. But it says, immigration officers assert sweeping power to enter homes without a judge's warrant, memo says. So it's obviously going to cause so much friction, and tensions. Obviously nothing good is going to come from this. And you get within the scriptures of what this devil is getting ready to come down with, is in Revelation 12 and 12, dealing with that great wrath. Isaiah 59:19, how they're going to come down as a flood, There is a reason why, spiritual power will be bestowed upon the Lord's elect. Which we hope and pray, that we're of that number, Lord's will. Because look at the things the devil's doing. This is devil's ice. It looks like they were given more authority than these policemen. And you already see the situation escalating already, as you had, I believe these National Guard troops, 1,500 of them, pretty much on standby, dealing with these riots, which you've seen over there, in Minnesota. So, hey, the Lord is turning things up, man. He is cranking up the heat. But let's get a little more. It says, federal immigration officers are asserting sweeping power to forcibly enter people's homes without a judge warrant, according to an internal immigration and customs enforcement memo obtained by the Associated Press, marking a sharp reverse of long-standing guidance meant to respect constitutional limits on government search. And you see that pretty much getting done away with. Really, because this devil don't care. Let's read this last bit. The memo authorizes ICE officers to use force to enter a residence based solely on a more narrow administrative warrant to arrest someone with a final order of removal. And this is damage control, saying, it has to be this sort of reason, which you already see, the crap this devil's doing already. Which is, clearly, not by the book. As the move that advocates say collides with Fourth Amendment protection and upends years of advice given to immigration communities. So this other article has to say, the ICE says its officers can forcibly enter homes during immigration operations without judicial warrants. And you already see, the type of spirit that these people are, coming in already. Wanting to take up arms, wanting to, use force. And this is just going to escalate that even further. And really that's going to give this devil the ammo he needs to be so-called justified when he cracks down, when he lays rounds into you. Because that's really what he wants. So you have a lot of these people playing into his hand. But it says, an internal immigration customs enforcement document may shows that ICE told officers and agents they can forcibly enter homes of people subject to deportation without warrants signed by the judges. So it's pretty much, the same, information, just two different articles. But let's get into these scriptures. This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. And it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows that he hath but a short time. So the devil knows his time is ticking, his time is running out. That's why you see him beginning to rush and implement his plans and put them into action. That's why he's beginning to get sloppy. People are now begin to see who this devil, really is. As you get within the scriptures, how the man is sin, it's being revealed. Isaiah 9:18. And as it says, so shall they feel the name of the Lord from the west, and the glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. So they're come out as a flood with that great wrath. And it says, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. The Lord's going to defend and protect his elect in the midst of these coming times. And the Lord's especially going to do that through that spiritual power. These supernatural abilities. As you get throughout the scriptures, list off, super speed. Which I want to say Isaiah 40 and 31. The ability to take flight. Not be able to get tired. Limited stamina. If it goes into, shall run. Not be weary, shall walk, not faint. If you're paraphrasing. Various other scriptures, especially, go into it. Where it says, thou worm Jacob, we're likened unto, a worm. Which says, a worm is, defenseless. Pretty much the lowest, pretty much on the food chain. But you get in the scripture how Lord, is going to help and defend his elect. And how those that are weak and feeble, and that they shall be as David. Which, David was a mighty man. He went, and gone through troops, man. Which troops goes into armies. But you got those 2 points to go to show what this devil's getting ready to do. When they come down with that great wrath, as that flood, which you can find various examples in movies, cartoons, TV shows, of types of things the devil's getting ready to do. Of course, they show you movie Code 8, which I recommend. Where they have robots, drones to observe as well as to combat and go against people that have spiritual power within those movies. In one particular scene, which I believe is the start of it, where they stop at a apartment complex, building, pretty much have it surrounded, and they are walking along with the robot to go and try to get that person out. So hey, don't be surprised if you see robots being used out here also, which we've been saying is what we're most definitely going to see. Robot patrolling the street, which we've already seen on a lower scale now, doing robot dogs, which you've seen a while back in Shanghai, China, being used to make sure people weren't breaking curfew. So it won't be surprising if you do see things like that. But the second, 1671, the Lord's will, I'm tied points together. But says they should be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling, destroying those that fear the Lord. Actually, verse 70 is also good. So you got that. But it says, for there should be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. All hell is getting ready to break loose. And you Israelites, you Jakes, are the target, the forefront of this devil's attack. Because you get throughout the scriptures, the devil has a perpetual, never-ending hatred towards you. And Jake's gonna learn that the hard way, which you have some of our people begin to wake up to how the devil truly feels, but Jake's gonna feel the burn. Which you get, and I'm gonna say the second chapter, learn death by pain, the hard way. But read verse 7 one more time. They should be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling, destroying those that fear the Lord. And you see what this devil's doing already. All these situations, these ICE agents are pretty much in the things that they do, tackling people, which I mean, let's go into where they pretty much did a gotcha, to an Issacharite woman, so-called Mexican. Ask her if she, knows her social security pretty much off the top of her head, and she obviously didn't, and she got, pretty much tackled down. And yeah, this other recent situation, which pretty much kicked off these protests, as you've been seeing, with that shooting. And I believe there was even a second shooting, which I believe that person was injured. Don't believe he got taken out. But you had that. So you're gonna see these situations just escalate, and really how they cannot care any less, as I've been seeing already the things that these ICE agents have been saying, F them kids, all sorts of things. They don't care. They have been given the authority to pretty much do whatever they want. And actually, I believe I came across a video where you had this ICE agent, I believe, boasting that he wouldn't rather be doing anything else than what he's doing right now. I should have saved that. And that could have been a lesson right there. Because once this devil is seeking to take you out, any justification to do so. And this is what the uniform that they put on to do so. That's what they're going to do. As you already see the incentive that they're pushing out for people to get on board. Jeremiah 30:7. These are times we're in. This is the last 50 days great, so and it's like it's even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So we're in that time. We are in that time, and this is just the start. It's only going to pick up, man. This is why you get within the scriptures, of the times that we're coming into, how to be something that we have never seen before. Show you how horrific it's going to get out here, man. How great these judgments are going to be. This is why it's important to fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Because the Lord is going to be using this devil as that sword. As you get in Psalm 17:13, you hide me from the wicked, which is thy sword. That wicked speaking of Esau, Edom, which is Malachi 1:4. But this is Jeremiah 37 one more time from on top. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. Times like never before. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. As you know, Jacob got his name changed to Israel, after wrestling with an angel. So it's speaking of the Israelites. You're the target. You're the forefront of all these attacks and things the devil has been planning. But he's not going to outright say it, but he's going to use various other situations and things as the face, as the why they're doing these things. But we know the real reason. It's 2 Corinthians 2:11. How we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. It goes to the NLT version. It goes into how we are familiar with his evil schemes. We know what this devil's playing at, especially dealing with this right here, as you're seeing. Those 2 articles and videos we got, where now they are pretty much able to just do whatever. Don't need the proper, what's what I'm looking for? Information, or I don't say information is the correct word I want to use, but the proper, pretty much not going the proper, correct route, for lack of better words. As you see these policemen and, needing the warrant, to go through, judges and all this types of stuff. But he shall be saved out of it. And who's that he being saved? That will be saved out of it. The elect, the 1/3, which we hope and pray that will, if that number, Lord's will. Because you do not want to be on the receiving end of these judgments the Lord bringing out. There's 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1. It says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." Other translations going to difficult, terrible. So troublesome times are fastly approaching. Really, we're in them now. This second Ezra 15 and 14 through 17 says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and the destruction draw nigh, and one people shall stand and fight against another, and swords in their hands." So you're most definitely going to see these situations, escalate to where you're going to have people, pretty much, what's what I'm looking for, acting more aggressively. You're using weaponry. I already see what the devil trying to do with Jake, dealing with these Black Panthers, which I still need to catch up on all the information. A lot of brothers making lessons, speak on that. But the traps are being laid, and Jake is falling right into it. But it says, and fighting against another swords in your hand, which is the modern day sword, the gun, these weapons. Verse 16. "For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another should never regard the kings, nor princes in the course, that actually stand the power of the kings and princes, being people in power and authority, which today would be your presidents, your mayors, governors, etc. But once in one, these people are one push away off the edge to just, crashing out, for lack of better words. Because you saw much in this recent shooting, and now literally overnight, you had people flocking to the streets. So you're most definitely going to see something pop up. It's meaning to happen. It's just, it's bound to happen. Especially with all these troops being on standby. So you most definitely going to have this devil have his hand in these situations in order to, kick things off, or as the case may be. But verse 17, "A man shall desire to go into the city, shall not be able, going to them shutting his place down, curfews, lockdowns, martial law," which you have Trump has been heavily alluding to, as he pretty much threatened to pretty much activate that Insurrection Act. But the Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 says, "The vision is yet for an appointed time, but then shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, but surely come, it will not tarry," meaning it will not delay. You see, we're in those appointed times as written and spoken of within Scripture. We are nearing the end of this place, and it's crystal clear of that. But that's the point right there want to make a lesson just regarding that situation. Blowing the trumpet, sounding that alarm as we're to do as watchmen, as prophets. Is to give the warning. And to, get right, with Yahweh Shema Shai. Because you can clearly see without the Lord, you are through. What is your, pepper spray and your pink Glock, speaking of the wicked Israelite women, thinking that you don't need a man. Now you'll be all fine and dandy, but we'll see about that. As in Isaiah 32, it won't room that are at ease. But just further going to show the troublesome, chaotic times that we're heading into, and without the Lord, you're finished. There's no way of getting out of it. That's the point right there. I don't want to stall and drag the lesson, make it only seem to be. But Lord's white tights points together and you were edified. I do want to close out, give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh Shema Shabbat Shem Dash and Shalom. See you next one, Lord's will.